Welcome, everybody, and thank you very much for taking time out of your night. It is the DJNTV Virtual Expo 2022 February edition. Tonight, music playlist ideas for 2022. So we thought, you know what? Why not start off with the guy who knows everything about music playlists? Oh, wait. No, we actually had to squeeze Ben in among his food because he is that busy of a guy.
But Mr. I literally Ben Stowe, just finished chewing and swallowing. Yeah. Chomp.
I am so thankful, Mr. Ben Stowe, for you to be able to join us tonight because something's going on next week. And I think you're going to somehow be involved. And that's about all I know for sure. So what can you tell us? What's happening next week that everybody should be aware of?
Well, two things are happening next week and one is pretty cool, and the other one I think everybody should be aware of. So first, we'll talk about the thing that's pretty cool.
Of course.
What's pretty cool is there's the MEX show in Vegas. NLFX will be there. We'll have a demo room and a small booth on the floor as well. And for us, that represents so many things. It seems like yesterday, but it was March of 2020 when I was writing a post to our industry and to our customers saying, with deep regret, we're withdrawing from the Mobile Beat show as this pandemic was barreling down on us, and nobody really knew what the rules would be or what would be safe. And we felt that was the most responsible thing we could do for our staff and our customers. And so from March of 2020 till now, this will be the first major national show that we've gone to. And that's not, any disrespect to the other smaller regional shows we've done, but this kind of feels like we're back, right? Mm-hmm. It's and we've loved those other regional ones we've done, but this really is like, okay, it's sort of like putting that back in place, So anyway, so that's what's happening next week, and we're very excited to be there. We've got some excellent partners, a couple of big industry leaders in Electro Voice and also Chevet Lighting, and the Mixware family of brands, which includes Deck Saver and Magma, Headliner, which has some pretty cool cases and things, and some other things. So we can definitely expound on that. But the thing that we can talk about this a little more too. The thing that everybody should know is we're launching a new line of cables.
Oh,
and it's built with the same, and I say this, and I don't say this lightly, but I say it sincerely, the same legendary quality as our Platinum series. And it's just a bit lower profile, a bit smaller, intended for a little bit different purpose. Instead of having 20 gauge conductors, it has 24 gauge. We had to make it small enough to fit into these 360 degree rotatable XLR ends that are very low profile, excellent for things like fly racks or behind DJ consoles where clearance is a premium. So that's what everybody should know. We are launching a ridiculously awesome line of cables from the same lineage, the same construction characteristics, just thinner with these 360 degree rotatable ends. And I almost slipped and said the name. I was like, it's gonna be that.
I was gonna say, do we, your special friends, because we interrupted, your Tuesday night, do we get that exclusivity, or do they have to wait until next week?
No, you know what? Absolutely, I will tell you. It's going to be called the.
Oh my goodness, we have technical difficulties already.
So now you all know. Everybody got the sneak peek, and you all know the name. For everybody else, just have to wait and find out at the show.
The Yellow Tie Special. That's what we're going to call it. That's what we're going to call it until next week when he gives us the official and it all comes back and he can actually tell us what it is. But no, that's cool though. 24. I mean, just the fact that you guys recognized, so many of the DJ furnitures and stuff like that are out there, whether people are making their own or whether they're buying the different units. The whole purpose is to try and keep things as small as possible. And, as the sound guy, that's never exactly small, tight spaces and good sound quality usually don't go hand in hand because of just what they need space wise to maneuver. So the fact you're able to do that with your high quality, but here's what I expect then. I expect sometime this summer for you to take that cord. And when there's a parade, I expect a reenactment of the old one. We got to have the proof.
You know what? You make a fair point. The Platinum Series certainly survived 2 miles of parade trucks and floats and everything else, fire trucks and everything else rolling over the top of it. The cable still works. We will have to try that with the new series that is coming out. So Yeah, you know, it's the same construction characteristics, a ridiculously awesome 95% braid, tinned copper, and annealed copper conductors, the drain wire inside, as well as a twisted pair of signal conductors for incredible signal integrity. At this point, it's not, you know, you almost don't even need to talk about our cables anymore, because I think all you have to do is ask somebody that owns one. And that list includes Grammy winners and Rock and Roll Hall of Famers and Country Music Hall of Famers. And it also includes, you know, thousands of DJs. And you could just ask anybody that's got these things, and you know, they're battle tested. And that was really important to us. There was a lot of discussions as we began to release this new product, like, you know, will it carry the same warranty, which is a forever warranty on our Platinum series? And we thought, man, there is some vulnerability with an end that can rotate, and we're not really worried about the cable itself breaking, but the connection, and you know, a lot of gyrations that go through that. And at the end of the day, we said, yeah, it has to. You know, it has to be the same. We've set this bar, and we can't go beneath it. You know, everything has to be at the bar or above. And as far as the idea goes, that I don't think we can take credit for, because we have the largest R&D department in the world. You know, we have you, we have the viewers, we have the customers, and sometimes I think all you have to do is listen. I'm mindful of a business book I was reading one time. I know people are pretty surprised that there's a sound guy that can read, but thank my mom for that. And in this book, it has a handwritten sign, and the sign is written in what I would describe as angry handwriting. You know, whoever wrote this was on a mission, you know, and it said, no, we do not have ice cream. And I thought, well, how many times did you get asked that you had to make this sign? Maybe you should have just got ice cream, you know?
Fair enough. Yeah.
If your customers are asking for it, just go get it. So that this is a product of that. And even the name, it was cool. We had kind of a naming contest on a forum, and it was really, really neat to see. I mean, you know, when you put this in the space of creative people like DJs and ask them to be creative, you're not disappointed. I think if we were disappointed, it's just that we couldn't pick more than one name. Like we couldn't just pick like 20 or 30 of them. From a marketing standpoint, that's a nightmare. So
why don't you use one name for the right cable and a different name for the left cable? Like the right Twix and left Twix.
Yeah. See, because we don't have that kind of Twix budget. We didn't think about that, you know.
Wow. $1 million idea. Now when you go for version 2.0, you can utilize that.
You know, the Super Bowl is great for that too, because after that, you always come back to your marketing team and say, hey, why didn't you guys think of just putting a QR code bouncing around a screen? Really? $7 million. Anyway, so at the MEX show, we will have these new cables. We're very excited for people to see. We'll have a couple prototypes there, production models we're working on. All of our stuff is hand built in the US, so it's going to take a little time. Of course, the supply chain right now is not the friendliest place to try to launch new products, but you know, we're doing it for you. We'll have stickers. We have stickers. Finally, after almost 30 years in business, we have stickers. We're finally like a legit company.
Wow.
All right. And we'll have stickers for the new cables as well. So come be the first to get one of those. And of course, come see the team. We're just so excited to people again. Myself, I'll be there. Kat, our marketing director, Michelle, who produces the NLFX News, and has even made a few appearances on there. She's there, and I'll tell you what, you just got to meet Michelle. She's like a force, you know. You just have
bubbly in the news forecast or news broadcasts that you do.
She is, and she's even better in person. You just have to almost like experience being in the presence of Michelle. You know, she just brings so much to the whole atmosphere of the company. And her first almost year was spent working remotely, you know, due to COVID. So I think it was just so cool to watch the team come back to work, and for her to get plugged into that and just sort of, you know, watch how that all happens. And of course, Katie, who's a veteran and well-loved veteran of the company, and a new addition, Tony, who works primarily with tour and institutional customers. But Tony, you know, he has an audio engineering degree. He was a factory rep for Chevet. He was a factory rep for Digico consoles, which are tour consoles. I mean, you know, world-class touring consoles. Very smart guy. Also DJs. So he walks the walk. And he's going to be there, and I think that's pretty cool. Here you got a guy who's worked with Grammy winners, that's hanging out in the booth, and I think that's going to be a really cool thing. He's just a fun guy to be around, really down to earth, just a kind human being, somebody I've known a long time, as he was a rep that called on us. And we'll be there, of course, like I said, with our friends at Electro Voice, our friends at Chevet Lighting, and the Mixware Group. Going to be some good show specials, which I'll tell you what, in an era when you can't even get product, having specials is a pretty neat trick, but we're going to do it for you. So
I was going to say the show special is we can get it for you. Like, but no, you're actually going to have some deals on some items.
We are. And you're right. In stock is the new on sale. But we've been trying hard to get a handle on supply chain, and we do have a lot of things in stock. We have a lot of things not in stock, but we're trying very hard to manage that best we can, and we will have some specials as well as the ability to hopefully deliver them to you soon. Some things you can take home, take right from the booth. I can't beat that for delivery time.
Absolutely. So I got a question for you then. All right. So before we get into talking about maybe some items, I know we can't talk specific prices and things like that. It's
truly, I don't even know them, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't even know.
I was trying to save you some face there, but
All right, so you know what? It's me. There's no saving face. Everybody, they're just like, Ben doesn't know. No, we got great people. I don't need to know. I have amazing people that I get to work with, and I'll show up and they'll hand me a sheet and go, here's the specials. And I'll go, these look great. And they will be great,
Well, before we get into that piece, just the one question I got is, since you are representing a bunch of different brands, and I know you can't speak specifics to anything that might be happening. Is there any product we should keep an eye out for that might be a surprise, other than obviously your brand new awesome cables? Like I said, you can't speak specifics, but I'm just saying a yes or a no.
Truly, I'm not aware of any new products being launched.
Okay.
Now, it could be that I'm surprised too. This is going to come as a shock to a lot of viewers, but I'm not the smartest guy in our building. And there are people who know things in our building that I don't know. And in some ways, that's from a standpoint of necessity. They need to know so they can effectively communicate it to you. But no, I'm not aware of any new products that will be launched other than our cables or showcased. I think you'll see some recent favorites and some recent launches, but again, it's a tough time to launch new products. Factories are, Chevet, Evie, whatever, they've got great things maybe in the pipeline, but they can't deliver the things they already make. So it's really hard to deliver new things. I think we won't see a lot of new stuff this year for that reason.
Okay. And I kind of figured that would be the case, but I'm like, you know what? Well, I got the man here. I'm going to try and pick his brain just a little bit there. So
there are a couple recent releases. There's some cool new studio monitors from Headliner that are very economical and really good for, kind of a home listening, home practice sort of thing. Not a studio reference album cutting monitor, but, good enough really for that type of thing. I think there might be some new deck savers. I think there's a couple new Magma bags too, the DJ bags, backpacks. But yeah, as far as I can think of, and this really is a testament to our staff, the fact that basically the only question I asked is, what time is my flight?
So what you're saying is we have the wrong person on the show tonight. Yeah,
that is really what I'm saying. That is really what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I can tell you what time I leave and what time I arrive, but
we won't give out those details. You're gonna get swarmed at the airport, because I will say, I know there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be excited.
I'd love to get swarmed at the airport. What a great feeling that would be. I'd love for that. Yeah.
Paparazzi for
but the truth is, I know what will happen. I know what will happen, Dan. You and I have been friends a long time. I can speak honestly to you and 5,000 of our closest friends here. Here's what would happen. We would come off the jet bridge and deplane, and here would come a throng of people running, and they would run right past me and go to Kat and Katie and Michelle and Tony. That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but you're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right. That's true.
It actually reminds me of a fun story from another trade show. We serve several different vertical markets, and we have some really talented people in our company, including Sam, who just celebrated his, 28th anniversary with the company.
Awesome.
He celebrated his 28th anniversary with the company yesterday. So a veteran of the company of 28 years yesterday. And I'm mindful of the specific market that Sam serves, which is not the DJ market, but a different market that we serve sound and lighting needs to. And I was working at a trade show with him in that market, and he had gone to the restroom or get a snack or something. And somebody came to the booth and they said, Sam here? I said, no, I'm Ben. Can I help you? And they're like, no, I'll wait for Sam. And I'm like, what just happened here? But that's he's earned that, and so it is nice. I enjoy that when people are like, no, I want to talk to Ben. It's nice to be wanted. But yeah, we have some really great people that are, and yeah, I accept the fact that I don't always get to be the guy.
So what are some of these products then that we can expect to look for in your area? You talked about the demo room. Mm-hmm. Is that specifically going to be EV, a sound room that be able to test out the different models? Are we looking for that?
Pretty much everything's in the demo room, and then the trade show floor is going to be mostly a couple banners that say "Go to the demo room."
So makes sense.
Come by the booth and get a couple stickers or something. I think we'll have some stuff out there, but really everything's going to happen in the demo room. And the reason for that is we didn't want to dilute our resources in terms of people. We wanted to all be in one spot for you. So, because there is really a collective strength, RF radio frequency, very much my wheelhouse, lighting, certainly Tony's history working for Chevet or Katie, really a strong suit. Again, Tony, audio engineering background, all of us know different things. So by having us all together, we can team up to better answer your questions and offer more support. The factory reps will also be in there. Rumor has it Mike Dussault from EV is going to make a little guest appearance.
Whoa. So not just Ben, but Mike also.
Right. And I believe Paul from EV, Paul Heyerdahl. So if you don't know Paul, he's, honestly, yeah, you just got to meet Paul. Paul's another thing you just have to experience, a force of nature. Of course, Anna, the national sales manager, as national sales director for Chevet Lighting will be there. And I believe they'll have some other staff. And then some of the folks from Mixware. So I think, we wanted to just put everything in one place, kind of one-stop shop, come in and see us and talk about solutions for the things that you want to accomplish. Try to help you get a handle on planning ahead for, the supply chain. It's really kind of a situation where a lot of things you need to order now if you're going to have them for the wedding season. So we want to try to give people realistic timetables and as to the best of our abilities. It's getting really hard to predict, of course.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just so many things that are out of your control, and I think anybody who's worked with you guys long enough should have that almost immediate understanding that this is not Ben who decided I'm going to sell it to you. Oh no, I'm going to sell it to this guy because I like him better. No, it's you're going to be as straight up honest as you can with it, and that just means if there's a supply issue, then it really came before you could even touch a hold or get a hold of it. So
yeah, we've stuck to our guns with that. We've continued to offer discounts to the best of our abilities. We have been completely fair with allocation, first in, first out. We've not played favorites or games. This guy paid more or whatever. We've not done any of that. And I think part of that is, first of all, like they say in kindergarten, treat others like you want to be treated. And I think that, I'm a consumer all day long. I buy things all the time, right? So how do I want to be treated? What do I want that experience to be? And our staff thinks about that too. Everybody thinks about, what it would be like on the other side of the transaction. And, we want to give people the experience that we would want to have. And two, I think, just from a purely business sense standpoint, I think people remember. People have long-term memories, and they're going to remember the companies that screwed them, to be blunt, and we're trying really hard not to be that company. So, we're just leading with our ethics. Our ethics and our integrity have to lead us all the time. And I was just having a conversation with another friend of mine an hour ago, and we were talking about, business leaders that follow guiding principles of, morals and ethics and integrity. And it's been said that I'm a dinosaur these days. And, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. I'll go down swinging that way, but I'm not going to sell out. And I don't think this pandemic, will define us in a new way. I don't think it will change us in such a way that we have to compromise our commitment to integrity or morals just to make a sale. And if it is, then I don't have any interest in it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So I kind of hinted at this. Is there any products then? I know nothing that we're talking about new releases here, but what are you most excited to most excited probably is the wrong question here. What are you looking forward to most about MEX in general?
the people.
The people.
The people, no doubt. I mean, it has been so long, and you and I've had some good experiences at trade shows, getting to hang out and just getting to be people who share a joy, who share an interest. Honestly, I'm probably a lousy person at a trade show because I don't even look at our sales reports or anything. I just want to be part of the moment. I just want to be there with my friends. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. It's just been too long. We had a little bit of that with I went to the Chicago show and this last summer, but other than that, we've run. I think we did Midwest DJ. I wasn't able to be at that one, and there really hasn't been a lot of other ones that I can remember. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to be just. I'm excited to see the people that come.
Nice. And of course,
Yeah.
you get to demo the great products that you have for the people who have not been able to be around products like that and being able to experience something new. So,
Yeah. I mean, it never gets old. That was one of the things I missed most during the pandemic was just hearing my own sound system. Pushing the fader on. Of course, I do tour shows. And you push the gas pedal on that baby roars. But all of Evie's line is great, and I think for people who've not yet heard an Evolve to experience what comes out of that package, particularly like the Evolve 30, which is even smaller, people are like, no way, get out. Like they're looking for the hidden speaker. I'm like, no, that's it. And we'll have some ELX and EKX there, which took a virtual miracle in today's supply chain world. But again, to show off lighting solutions and talk about what's available and help people plan and answer those questions, help you figure out how your business is going to benefit from these items and how you'll advance your business's standing and become more successful and more profitable. Yeah, I'm definitely geeked about that. I love solving problems. You said before the show you're a problem solver, and I think that's my day all day long. My job is to solve problems before people know they have them.
Awesome. So I want you to make sure that, whatever you're doing during MEX, when you guys are out there visiting and you stop by, make sure you're stopping by their demo room, make sure you're checking it out, make sure you're talking to Ben, Kat, Katie, Michelle, Tony, and like Bobby,
You got it,
Susie,
man. Good for you.
Bobby,
Good job.
Susie. I got stuck there almost at the very end there, but no, make sure you're stopping by. Even see Alice, the maid, she's going to be there too. Brady Bunch reference. I'm sorry, but no, in all seriousness, stop by and see what they've got to offer, because you're going to be pleasantly surprised if you have not checked out their lines in a couple of years. If you've been kind of hesitant, you're like, oh, I'm going to wait till things get a little bit better, and then you went, oh, there's no trade show for me to go listen to how their product is. I don't know if I can do this. If you live in an area like me, you don't have that option. So you take advantage of this. Make sure you stop by, say hi, get the sticker, get the new cables, while you're at it, put an order
get a moat,
in.
Get a moat sticker. We have moat stickers too. Stickers for the moat
as well.
Yeah, get the moat. And again, for those, you've mentioned our cables and the parade and all that sort of thing. If you've not put your hands on an NLFX Platinum Series cable, I mean, I still read it in the forums, and I don't even get mad, because I know these are people who just haven't experienced it, but they're like, wow, cable's cable, it's a hype, Look, man, there's a reason all these people post what they post. There's a reason all these people say what they say, and it's not the Kool-Aid they drank, it's the cable they own. Just put your hands on it and we'll make you a believer. I promise you, we'll make you a believer. There's a reason Grammy winners buy our cable when other companies would give them their cable for free. So come experience those cables, put your hands on them. But I thought of something else I'm really excited about. I got to confess, this probably won't surprise anybody who's seen me on Disaki News, but at the very far north end of the strip, which is about as far from the South Point as you can get, there's a restaurant called the Pepper Mill. And when the show Mobile Beat was at Riviera, it's right there. But if you've not had a banana split at the Pepper Mill, it's like a 5-quart pail of ice cream in a bowl. And no, I'm not going to share.
You're not supposed to share.
No,
it's ice cream.
The other 4 people will share one, and I'll have one. But yeah, that's definitely going to happen. I don't know when, but a trip to the Pepper Mill. I've been to Vegas like 140 times, something like that, and it had really become no joy left in Vegas. Like it just had become very routine and then you take a year and a half off, and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of excited. I'm getting this ice cream and going back, and so it's all about it. Everything comes back to ice cream,
Of course, it has to come back to ice cream. We started actually talking about the sign that says, "No, we do not serve ice cream," and now you come back. I think you have dessert on the brain. I think that's what it is.
Perpetually.
Had your dinner. Now you're ready for dessert, and
Perpetually.
I can't blame you on that one.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
I do. In the chat, they keep wanting us to. They keep asking, like, "What's the deals?" All right, what's the deals? And so you probably missed earlier. Ben has admitted he cannot share the deals, not because he doesn't want to, because Kat won't give them to him to share.
Probably because she knows I have a big mouth. Like earlier when I told you the name of our cables, when I said it was so Kat says I can't have those specials. So anyway, truly, I don't know what they are, but you know what? They're gonna be good.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering if you can get those specials if you're not at the show, of course you can. You can just message us, but we'd love to see you in person if you're at the show. That's the whole point. But you can also contact us and we'll be happy to help. Don't just ask what's the show special, because it's going to be like hundreds of items and we're not going to just send you the whole list. Sorry. We didn't make a catalog for this. We made a trade show booth, but we'll be very happy to answer your questions on Chevet or EV items. If you're like, hey, is there a show special on this? Yeah, probably there is. So just drop us.
And that's just going to be on top of the fact that, no matter what, if for some reason you've lived under a rock for the last however long, or you're just getting into DJing, these guys know what they're doing as far as deals are concerned, and taking care of you, and their customer service is through the roof. And I'm not saying that just because he came on the show and is hanging out, but I've been.
Well, you're also a customer.
Believer.
I mean,
exactly.
You've given us your hard-earned money a lot, and we don't take that lightly. And it means a lot that you would say those kind things, Dan. I really do appreciate it. And I think some people who are watching might say, well, Dan's hosting the show. And look, man, the truth is, Dan's a DJ in Pennsylvania who spends his own hard-earned money, and he has no obligation to purchase from us. So it means a lot that you do, Dan. And it means a lot that you would say those things about our customer service. We're not paying for this spot on Disc Jockey News. It means a lot to me that those words come from the heart. And I just wanted to qualify that for people. Say that you're a real guy who spends his real money on gear,
Absolutely. Well, on that note, Ben, we do have to bid you a fond farewell for this evening. I do want to thank you, though, for taking time out of your night to join us and give some previews of MEX and what you're looking forward to and what you've got, and a whole slew of different manufacturers that you're representing there. So if you're looking for any of those, or even if you think you might, make sure you stop by their demo room, check them out, get a sticker, buy some cables, and have a good time with that.
Please do.
We will be back here in just a few moments. We've got Rachel Lynch. She's going to be coming and joining us next.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I do want to thank you for sticking around. We had to kick Ben out, but we are welcoming in the illustrious Rachel Lynch. She is joining us. DJ Rachel is ready to talk to us about some upbeat music, some new crates that you might need to create, so that basically, I'm going to say your words so that you just don't suck, right?
Pretty much.
So what are we looking forward to here? What is kind of the I kind of generalize it upbeat, but there's 1,000 different directions we could go with the word upbeat. So
right. So a little background. When John asked me to kind of come up with a crate that I was kind of passionate about and that I could talk to, I thought, you know what, this would be a perfect time to talk about my upbeat / sing-along dinner crate, because I had so many DJs reach out to me regarding this crate from a gig log that I did over 2021, when we were still kind of in that quasi pandemic thing where people were still forced to not party totally how they wanted to, but really wanted to give it a try anyway. So a lot of DJs were working in some crazy unique environments under some crazy unique circumstances. And I actually had a pretty unique event in somebody's backyard. There were little chickens running around. I'm telling you, it was a wild time, pun intended. And I ran into a little logistic problem as a DJ. And I kind of had to think on my feet, go to some of my other tools, get a little bit out of my comfort zone, and dive into my crates. And I'm like, you know what? I know exactly where I need to be pulling music from. So if you guys want to check out this actual event, go to my YouTube channel. And if you go to, I think it's literally called like Sing Along, like DJ Gig Log Sing Along event or something like that. And pretty much what happened was they had a pizza truck. Go figure. I swear to God, I didn't blackmail or bribe anybody. Out of all my backyard weddings, I think literally 7 out of 10 of them had some type of pizza truck. It was the best thing ever. Either which way, these were gourmet pizzas. So they were handmade and they were extremely time consuming. So they had a pretty large outdoor, hold on. We
lost your video.
Give me 1 second here.
There you go.
All right, there we go. I'm sorry about that. I had a really long dinner line piling up because it was taking forever for these people to get their personal pizza. And they were standing in line, and it was kind of just boring and awkward, because it was like dinner time. So there wasn't really dancing. And I was like, all right, I got to get these people engaged. I got to get them entertained. I got to get them foot tapping, singing along, dancing. We can't go with the dinner crate that the couple gave me. Now, they had a couple of definite must plays, and they kind of gave me a bunch of songs in Vibo, but I said, you know what? If it's not on their must play, I'm not even going to touch it, because I need to step up as a DJ, as the entertainer, and kind of do my thing and make the executive decision to level up dinner. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, was go over my crate that I used that day. I've obviously added some more to it because I wanted to have a little bit more ammunition for more diverse events. Maybe it's not a wedding, maybe it's, another type of event, but you need that kind of just upbeat, really fun vibe where that kind of stale dinner music, it's not going to fly. And honestly, the majority of clients, I think, are moving towards that direction anyway. They're reducing the formalities, they're reducing the kind of sitting down thing, and they just want to maximize party and get people, feeling good. And then the other takeaway from it, because I had such a killer dinner, it was like the easiest dance party of my life. They were so primed and ready to go. I could have burped into the microphone and they would have cheered. They just were putty in my hands. So that's the focus of this crate, is just to make your night just get to the max climax you can get. And I think DJing passively for dinner just isn't going to cut it. So that's it. That's the preface of this crate.
Awesome. So let's take us on this journey here. Right? You've given us the backstory.
All right. So do you actually want me to show you the crate?
Oh, absolutely. I'm pen and paper now, ready to go.
Okay. Also, I want to preface this. This is very open format. So there's some older tracks. There's some newer tracks. There's some sing along. There's some theater stuff. It's really an eclectic mix. so that this could work for anybody. So as you said, there's a lot of different styles of what upbeat is. I'm saying this is really diverse. So you can kind of cherry pick, what's going to work for you.
Smart idea. Smart idea. Yeah. Too much of one thing, I think, at any event is going to be kind of so being able to pull exactly what's going to match your ideal client is going to be awesome.
All right. So you got my screen there?
Yes, did we do?
All right. So right over here, it's literally called Dinner Bops. And then let me expand the browser view. That should make it a lot easier for you guys to see, right? Because virtual DJ is cool like that, right?
Everybody's screenshotting right now. I can tell. I'm hearing
hold on.
it.
I didn't want to.
I'm hearing it from all the computers. They're all screenshotting at the same time.
All right. Hold on. That's still what I want. There we go. I tried to make the font a little bigger too. So is that nice and easy to see?
If it's not, they need to pull out their readers. That's all there is to it.
Okay, cool. So kind of how do you want to do this? I'm not sure like the flow of this. Do I kind of just cherry pick some of my favorites? Do I just slowly scroll through this? Kind of how do you want me to break this down?
Well, I don't think we should give away, the baby with the bathwater here. I don't think they need to, see everything, although I'm sure some people are aching for that. But
I mean, there's a long crate here, man.
So let's go beyond that a little bit. What was some of the thinking? I mean, you told us how it kind of developed and pulled. Let's pull out some of these maybe. I don't want to call them deeper tracks, but something that's not your instant think of. So for example, Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. That's an obvious one, I think, for a lot of people that would be in a sing-along crate. But what made you think of, I'm looking at half of them and they all seem like there's instant like classics, I guess, with that. But what was some of your thinking with some of these?
All right. So the Thank You for Being a Friend. That was actually a huge track that night. And obviously with, Betty White's passing, it kind of reincarnated that song. And this is actually a different version than what you're going to hear on the actual Golden Girls, but this is an epic sing-along song. I'm not going to curse anybody with my horrible singing voice, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And now because of Betty White, I feel like this is going to be kind of like reincarnated. So I think that this is going to be a big dinner sing-along crate right there. This Acoustic Hearts one, this is the Doja Cat song, Kiss Me More, but it's a little bit stripped back, and I absolutely love this version by Acoustic Hearts. So if you have not checked that out, I think a good way to keep things kind of modern without being obnoxious, like if something just hits a little too hard, if you can kind of look for great acoustic versions of it, I think that's a great way to find that balance. So I do have a lot of kind of stripped back acoustic versions of songs in here. One of my favorites might be, Yeah, We Know That, but I'm telling you, That's Amore by Dean Martin. I don't care the age group. People absolutely love that. They grab their napkins and go nuts. So that was a really fun one that night. Let's see here if there's a couple of other ones.
Same with the pizza pie or anything, right?
No, of course not. Of course not. Freddie Scott, You Got What I Need. Now we might know the one by Biz Markie. You got what I need. But I think this is definitely a much more kind of wedding version. It's a great old classic song. So if you're not familiar kind of like where that sample came from, I would definitely check out Freddie Scott, You Got What I Need. Let's see, what else do we got here? Here's another one. So Starving by Haley Steinfeld. Again, great song, but it might just have a little bit too much punch for dinner. So it's kind of an acoustic stripped back version. So that's also one of my favorites. Not as popular, Justin Timberlake song. So if you want to not play, one of his typical stuff like Mirrors or, Suit and Tie or something like that, definitely check out Justin Timberlake Morning Light. That's kind of, not as mainstream, to just give it a fresh sound. Upside Down by, I don't know how to pronounce this, but JVKE, another great vibe. Definitely not a super common track. So just like you said, some of the deeper cuts that aren't too obvious. I'm just kind of scrolling through here. This Let's Get Married by Pretty Sister is another great cover. I'm really big on covers. It gives an awesome just change up to what you'd want to hear.
So let's talk about those
send
covers
me,
for just a moment while
yeah, sure, go
you're
ahead.
kind of scrolling through, because I know, like for myself, this is one of the things that I always kind of struggle with. I hear a lot of DJs talk about covers, and back before, it was like, how do we hear about covers? And now it just seems like there's so many that are out there. How do you narrow down like the 20,000 acoustic groups that are on Spotify to be able to find the versions that you're kind of cherry picking to say, you know what, that's the one I'm going to use for this?
So there's a combination here. I think some is a little trial and error, like actually testing it and kind of just seeing those reactions and seeing if you're still getting those toe taps, or kind of like, hey, this is a cool version. Sometimes I'll ask family and friends and say, hey, which one kind of are you feeling a little better? Like I'll do a little poll and just ask, people close to me, or if I'm, jamming in the car. That's a lot where most of my music discovery comes from. And you just know, I can't explain it. After doing it this long, there's something about a certain guitar or a little something in that song. You know what? Like, that's the one. Because there is a lot of garbage out there, and you do kind of have to filter through it and find those gems. So literally every cover in here is personally handpicked by me because I love it. Which brings me to, there was one remix here that I definitely wanted to make sure people grab because it is phenomenal. It's Dance Monkey, but it is the SYLOW. Let me kind of get to my D's here. Dance Monkey, where are you?
It's right there, but I don't know if you
right
have
here.
the other version. Or you
Nope,
didn't
I do.
or you
Hold
didn't.
on. Let me get the, can I get the remix? Not remixer. I want the remix. Sorry.
You're fine.
See how it says right there?
There we go.
SYLOW. This is a fantastic kind of dinner vibe. So if someone's kind of top 40 popped out, this is still a good way to kind of get that in, but switch up the vibe a little bit. Let's see what else is maybe. I wouldn't call this a deep cut, but this is a throwback that people go wild for. Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel. I'm telling you, it's a good dinner bop. Another one I play almost every event is Gotta Be Blue Suede, Hooked on a Feeling. That is an absolute favorite banger of mine. People love that. Many of the Miles by Sarah Bareilles, not one of her super popular ones, but something a little different. We set Morning Light here. Probably my favorite Beatles track. This is the one that I absolutely throw in almost every sing-along. Seasons of Love by Rent is another one. It's a show tune, very popular show tune, and people absolutely love that one as well. Let me see. Now that I kind of rearranged,
you flipped on
to
your
find
order
that,
and suddenly got lost on you. So
they did. So I'm just trying to look here to see if there was anything else that I didn't, pull out that I thought was a gem. This is another fun one. The Tokens, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Definitely not something you would, think to play, but the Wemo app, like it's really cool. It's a really cool one to drop sometimes. So again, I mean, this still all comes down to crowd reading. Where you can be extremely playful, right? And maybe not so much. So that's why I kind of made this. I mean, I got country in here. I got, some 90s alternative, some sing-along show tunes, pop. There's really something in here for everybody. But everything here is upbeat, good energy, no sleepy dinner music here at all. And it's familiar. It's fun, So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point of this crate. It's ever evolving. I'm constantly adding and removing and things like that. But yeah, this is kind of the crate that got me through that interesting situation where the pizza line was wrapped 4 times around the tent and people were just kind of standing there. So dinner in theory was almost like 2 hours by the time everybody got to be fed. So
wow.
And you'll also notice like the BPMs here, right? So if I arrange these, you could see, look at the progression here. Like I have all the way from the 60s, 95s, you could pick it up, 115 is a good way to start, increasing that energy to get ready to start dancing, right? I mean, it covers the whole span of energy levels here. So yeah, this is my crate. So
Nice. So one of the things that I like about this, and this is one of the things I think a lot of DJs tend to overlook, because we've gotten in this habit, and for the longest time, I think this is where it came from, was like dinner was this time you didn't touch. Like cocktails, you could have some fun stuff because people are chilling, they got the cocktails in hand and stuff like that. And then like dinner came along and it's like, okay, now we've got to be like this hands off. Like we're gonna play music, but we've got to have this like more pulled back result. And I don't know if that became like certain venues that kind of gave that fight, for lack of better terms, or if it was something else. But I've been hearing more and more, especially of our influencers, and I'm gonna put you in that category in case you didn't know it already. I'm talking about this importance of dinner. So, you know, had you tried something like this before? Like, was this crate ever even like I know obviously you started to build it from that night because out of need, but did you ever start to kind of pull some of that together at other events beforehand for a smaller scale?
Yeah, absolutely. So this event was not the catalyst for this crate. This just kind of emphasized why I had this crate and just made me not let it fall to the back burner and kind of revisit it and say, all right, is there anything new that came out? Or like you said, some more of those deeper cuts that weren't so obvious, and really start building it up. Dinner, if you're just passively DJing it, it is an extremely missed opportunity. And I think it's a way to build trust with your audience. And you have a lot of freedom to really branch out and see how far you can push them, because you're not going to be clearing a dance floor, right? And you're going to know, you know, who's rocking to what genres, who's actually really listening to you, you know, who's just there for the free food, who's going to leave, you know, by 9 p.m. I mean, crowd reading, I mean, it's all night, but I'm going to say probably 70% of my crowd reading, I'm going to say, is between dinner and cocktail hour, because by then they're already mine. You know, dancing is the easy part. You know what I mean? Especially if there's open bar. So I think DJs, if you're not dialed in, or you're not even considering mixing during dinner, I'm not saying you have to, and you know, you don't have to do cuts and all this stuff, but definitely it's a tool, man. And if you dial it in, your night is just going to be that much better. So
nice. So what is your absolute favorite song on that list? What is the one that gets Rachel going, you know what? I don't care if anybody else likes this. I'm singing it to the top of my lungs in my head.
Just one. I'd have to narrow it down to like
five.
3.
How about your top? Could you narrow it to top 5?
I could do top 5.
Okay.
All right. Let 5. Me I'm gonna just put these in alphabetical order here so I can just kind of scroll through and be like, all right, so number 1 is gonna be Dancing in the Moonlight. Oh, so like am I,
or is it top 5 like, random order?
I'll do top 5 random order, because okay, you know, it depends on the day. So ironically, 2 of these are right next to each other. So Redbone, Come and Get Your Love, that is my jam. That is like my
Marvel
red
girl, so that makes sense.
My red light banger. I will roll all the windows down, level 35. If you're at a red light, we're jamming to this. Dancing in the Moonlight is another one. I absolutely love that song. I'm just scrolling here. Let me look. I hate being this cliche, but I'm telling you, man, this Cold Heart jam, if it's on, I literally can't turn the radio. That's definitely got to be in my top 5. I love it. And I need 2 more. Hooked on a Feeling. I'm going to have to add that. And probably that Justin Timberlake track, the Morning Light. Okay. I really dig that one. So those are going to be like my 5. I can't turn it.
Nice. So now I'm going to go the other direction. Now we're going to tick somebody off here, right? Who's the one artist? And this is not related to your crate. I'm just going to throw this out. Is there an artist that when a guest comes up and asks, you just go like, do you have one?
Oh my God, like there's so like many. So many. There's so many. There's so many. So this is like going to be totally cliche, but one of my biggest things. So I actually like Bad Bunny, but he's one of those people like you'll be playing him and people will be like, can you play Bad Bunny? It's like, I'm literally playing him while you're asking me to play him. So that kind of drives me up a wall. But an artist like I just wish would never be requested ever. Honestly, I'm not a big Maroon 5 fan. I could do without Maroon 5. I find and the other one is I'm gonna get absolutely canceled for this, but the Weeknd. I find his voice just really whiny. His songs aren't bad, but just he doesn't do it for me. So the Maroon 5 and the Weeknd just aren't my artists. I mean, I play them obviously. I mean, I got Maroon 5 here.
Yeah,
but
that's the quality of a professional. We'll get past our personal judgment for our clients, but
yeah. So we'll see how many fans I have after tonight.
I probably should have done this going into Emmy. Are you going to MEX? Are you going next
Yes,
week?
I'm getting it on Sunday.
Yeah, so I probably shouldn't have done that because now people are going to follow you around and like start like blaring something off their phones like right behind you. Like,
Right.
I don't know, you're nowhere behind you. You'll hear Maroon 5 song going. So
I don't mind the music, just their voices don't do anything for me. They're just something just like
they're
like
there.
the songs aren't bad. It just the singers, Adam Levine and him, he doesn't really do anything for me. So
fair enough. Oh my goodness. So if somebody were to create this crate, because obviously we'll go back to that for a moment. Well, we got a few minutes here before we finish up. If somebody were to create that crate, what advice would you give for them creating their own? Obviously, because we could obviously screenshot yours and we could take it, but whatever. All right. So what advice would you give to somebody who's starting to, I'm going to sit down this weekend and I'm going to create something? Where would you tell them to kind of start for themselves?
Well, I think number one, like what moves you, right? Like put yourself as a guest at that table and what makes you want to sing along when you're in the car, in the shower. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Also, I always have my ears open. Like restaurants have and like stores and stuff have their stuff really dialed in. So I'm not embarrassed to Shazam things, you know what I mean? So I'm always listening for new music. And if it's something you catch yourself singing or be like, hey, what is that? Or you can't help just kind of moving a little bit, add it into the crate. And then lastly, it's trial and error, right? You might think something's great and you throw it out there and it's really not what you thought it would be. This is years of development and adding and removing stuff. You know what I mean? So you definitely have to just kind of trial and error it.
But as you said, that there's not really anything you can lose here because there's not going to be there's not going to be a dance floor that you're clearing off. There's not going to be that problem that you're going to lose to that. So that's definitely an advantage there. Right.
And just have that courage. Like you said, you're not going to clear your dance floor. So just be willing to give it a try and see what works. And it's going to take time. And then obviously, like you said, there's some staples in here that you can't go wrong. Like if you got a country crowd who's not going to want to listen to Take Me Home Country Roads and belt it at the top of their lungs. There's proven staples. And honestly, some of these also came from requests that I got, from the client or the couples in advance. And you just like, you know what? Wow, I didn't even think of that. Like the Rent, Seasons of Love, that's what they wanted to end their wedding with. And it was such an epic ending. I was like, you know what? This was a great sing-along track. I'm going to throw that into the crate. So just listen to your clients, be willing to take requests, listen to the music going on around you, and then see what moves you. And if it does, throw it in there and see how it works.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, I want to thank you very much for taking time on your night, being able to join us, give us some insight, give us some feedback, and also give us some advice to really dive in and create our own. I think that's going to be helpful. And again, if you are not taking advantage of doing this stuff for dinner, that needs to be the first place you begin. And this is, I think, one of those easy types of crates for you to be able to use and really make the most out of dinner. And as she said, you prime the pump. It makes dancing so much easier when you get them out of coming out of something that's slow and maybe just
Right.
So.
I want DJs to be excited about dinner and cocktail hour and not just kind of like this passive time period. I think I put just as much effort into those as I do actual dancing. Like it's just maximum effort from start to finish.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be safe on your travels. Enjoy MEX, and we can't wait to hear all about it when you get back. And of course, Rachel will take any pizza that you want to buy while they're out there. But if it's bad tasting, she's never going to let you buy it for her again. Oh my goodness.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. And we'll be back. Bye. Coming up next, we've got Jason Jani, who's going to be joining us. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for sticking with us. We get the same change here. People in, people out. And of course, if you do not know this gentleman, seriously, are you living under a rock? Like, come on. Thank you very much. Mr. Jason Jani is with us tonight. Sir, what are we going to learn from this golden nugget that you are going to share?
I'm pumped just to hang out with you guys for a little bit. So we're going to talk a little bit about music management. We could talk a little bit about crate structure. I mean, we could start there and see where the conversation goes. I'm happy to kind of provide any insight or just information from the way I do things and things I've worked with, not just myself, but even my team at SCE to kind of put some context and structure around how we manage our music, everything.
All right. So music management. So let's start, and I'm just going to start grilling you once you lay into it, because I have a feeling like you're going to pick my brain. You're going to say something. So I'm taking notes. I hope it's okay.
Yep. So, I mean, if you want, I can kind of tell you about how this even became a priority for me. And
yeah, please.
Just to kind of give you context of like my experience doing this is I had spent a considerable amount of time in the beginning of COVID going through my entire music library. I realized that if I searched, any song that My Girl by The Temptations, I would have 40 versions of that song in different ways in my music library. And I realized like how inefficient I was walking around essentially with over 150,000 songs to each one of my events, realizing that I had a ton of music that I never ever played. And just to kind of like boil it down to why this became a priority for me is when the world slowed down in my space. I'm someone that works a lot in a lot of different types of events. So I always thought like more is better. I never want to guess or download or stream or whatever. And I started to realize that when I started to go back in time and look at the music that I was playing at, thanks to history pulls from my Serato, I use Serato just to kind of put context around all this. I realized that in the year 2018, where I performed at 235 events all over the country and beyond, that I only played 13,488 songs, which is still an insane amount of music, but like that's what I played and I was walking around with like 150,000 songs. So I played in 17 states and 5 different countries and put over 100,000 miles on a that I sat in a plane to get to the different places that I was working. And I only played a very small fraction, less than 10% of what I was actually carrying around to my events. And to kind of even put more context around this, in my music, kind of on my laptop, which had a 4 terabyte solid state drive, I had a total of 1,894 folders that had all of this music in it. So like I was getting that Serato, like death wheel kind of spinning, like searching my, I spent at that time, the computer I was using was like a $7,700 MacBook Pro. It was like all it can be, all like maxed out everything. And I'm like, how am I taxing the crap out of this computer? I'm just literally playing audio files. Like, what is going on? So I started to do homework. Like, how do I make my life better and all this stuff? And I got down on this like crazy path of just scrubbing my music library. I mean, we had all the time in the world because we weren't working. So, and I was like sitting home. You couldn't leave your house. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to clean my music library. I get about maybe like 3.5 months into this. I chop my music library down to less than half of what it was. And then the processor on my MacBook actually just goes. I went to go open up Pages. My computer turned off. All the work that I saved wasn't even backed up yet because I was still in the process of doing it. And because I wasn't going out anywhere, I'm like, I don't have to worry about this, like whatever. So I had to start the process all over again. So not only did I do it once, I had to now do it a second time. But by that time, there were some new programs and services coming to light for people in the entertainment space, right? Like Crate Hackers platform, Joe Bunn had done some stuff, and all these different cool tools are starting to come out. I learned about Record Cloud. I learned about different file delete software, and I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna redo this, like it probably makes sense that I start using some of these tools instead of doing it manually, because I just wasted 3.5 months of literally doing it for a number of hours every day for 3.5 months. And if you know me, like I'm usually like managed to the minute. Like I don't have extra time in my life, but I'm like cranking away at this. And I'm like, I was devastated that my computer blew out, but I was more devastated that I just lost that long chunk of time that I spent so much on. So long story short, that's how kind of the format for like figuring all of this stuff out. So over the past 1.5 years, I have spent a ton of time trimming down my music library, making my music library more efficient and properly organized to make me a better DJ. And I believe that music management is one thing that all DJs, no matter who you are, where you are, how long you've been doing this, what type of events you do, I would go on record saying 90% plus of us are music hoarders in some way, shape, or form, and could do a better job of organizing everything. So I started really spending a lot of time doing homework, talking to different people, having conversations with even people I might not even have known. And not just in the private event space, I've been talking to club DJs and this one and that one and all different people in all facets of this industry, even people in radio, just so I understand how they do it and like, how can I make this make sense for the way my mind works. So that's kind of like the framework for this. And I'm not going to go on the whole tangent of how I cut everything down. I mean, if people want to learn about that, I have a bunch of videos that I'm going to drop on my YouTube, and not to promote my own YouTube channel, but like I'm going to be doing a lot of that stuff in the future. But I can talk about some things that I really, I guess, things that came to light for me that had to be addressed, and then how I went about putting that into play in terms of crate structure, music management, where to trim the fat, how to trim the fat, and kind of just general ideas that can hopefully help people that are watching this right now just get a little bit further with this if this is something that you can do. And, I had always thought, tagging was important, but I wasn't really someone that had the ability to sit there and tag everything properly. And, over the years of, like I've been a DJ now for a long time. So, I went through the whole evolution of, burning music myself, that whole record to CD to now MP3 kind of, all these different technology leaps. and everything had always been different. I used to go and play parties with 3 or 4 crates of records for an entire night, like if I was playing a club or whatever. And then, you know, if you think in the context of that now, if you had to bring 300 songs with you to go play any party, even if it was for an hour, you'd probably be like, oh, I don't even know where to start with this. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like my thinking. And that's kind of how this all came about. But to kind of go into it, I think what I realized in all of this is that I had a lot of duplicate files. I had a lot of content that maybe I acquired over time that I never used, like many people can probably relate to that. And then I just tried to come up with a kind of a strategy or a formula to how to approach this moving forward. So as I was collecting music, I think every DJ is a music collector in some way, shape, or form. You know, how do I come up with a set of rules so that I know where to put music as I collect it in the future? So what I came down to, and this all gets back to crate management as well, is instead of 50 versions of a song, I try to have the original version of the song, as long as it's an original that makes sense. I try to have an original that's clean. I should say that it's probably the most relatable to everyone that's watching this. I try to have some type of redrum edit of the song with an intro in and out of the song, because I think that just makes things easier. And I try to come up with 2 playable remixes that would make sense for my style of play. Now, there are some songs that might have much more to that, and we'll get into how we categorize this. And then the final thing I would say is I always like to have tools that relate to every song that I'm going to hold on to that has significance into like something I would actually use. So a tool would be maybe an acapella, you know, just the vocals of the song, if I can't make it myself or something, or maybe an acapella in or an acapella out, something that I could do with like a wordplay routine or even like a transition up or down, if they're tools that exist, or if I was going to make something myself. And for anyone that doesn't know, I do a lot of edits and create a lot of stuff myself. Just I do them a lot live, but I also do them a lot like produced and share them and all that kind of stuff as well. And I think kind of thinking this out in a big in a way that would make sense to anyone just watching this. And I know we don't have a ton of time to dive through all of this, but the summary of how you organize your crates really needs to make sense with how your mind works when you're working at an event. I think I may think like a lot of people, but I also probably think a lot different than a lot of others. So my mind essentially equals the way I structure my crates. And then to take it a step further, my mind works how not only I structure my crates, but how my songs are categorized or tagged. And I think tagging is the one thing that can help people organize their music much better, because there are some super powerful tools in all software platforms. I'm a religious Serato user since the beta days of Serato becoming an actual program. And I am very in tune with the strengths and the things that maybe the software lacks in some capacity, but tagging allows you to basically have these like superhuman assets that can assist you with this whole crate structure process. So to kind of talk specifically about crates, I think the way my mind works, to summarize it, would be a decade or an era, right? Like a time frame for music, the style or genre of that music, meaning like, you know, is it hip hop or R&B, or is it throwback, and what is throwback and what does that mean to you or me, or we could all talk about that differently. And then I also like to think about things, how or where would I play this song? Like, what is the occasion that this song would make sense to play, right? Am I talking about a pool party in Las Vegas that's attended by general public, or am I talking about a wedding reception in the Northeast for someone that's hiring me to do this iconic life celebration? Or is this just like a personal song? Or is this a song that I would play on Twitch primarily or only? Or is this something I would play in the club, but could maybe hit a wedding, but it most likely would just stay in the club space or whatever? And I think when you start thinking about how your mind works, how you think about music, and where you and how you go about mining through your music, this process for cleaning things up and structuring your music will become a lot more relative to you specifically, because everyone is going to have a different way they think or thing they look at. And I've looked at some, and I've talked to some people and I've been like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, I know what you're saying, but I don't understand how I don't think that way. Like, it doesn't connect for me. So that's my personal formula on how I structure my world. And then from there, we kind of go into like a tree system of managing stuff by either decade, genre, style, or the type of event. And there can be many different kind of categories to this, depending on what we're talking about. But I know that earlier today we had some different conversations about different eras of music and how to classify stuff. So like, you know, in the context of my personal Serato library, I'm pulling it up right here and I'm looking at it. Like if I'm going to talk about 60s, 70s, or 80s music, that universe of content is generally played for me a lot of the same type of events. So they all kind of will blend together. And I do have like a master crate that basically is like 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then within that crate, I have sub smart crates, which allow me to use the superhuman strength features of Serato to scan all of the meta tags on all of my files and essentially stick them into these buckets, these sub crates. And the sub crates would be Motown, 70s, disco, funk, 70s rock, 80s dance, 80s rock, 80s miscellaneous. And miscellaneous for me could be like, it could be freestyle stuff, it could be late 80s hip hop, it could be all that kind of stuff, because I feel that some of that stuff could end up in other crates as well. And then we basically split it all out from there. So like, let me just breathe for a second, because I know I'm kind of going a lot of different places, and I know you wanted to ask me some questions. So let me just stop and see, Dan, are you hanging with me, or does this make sense as I'm explaining it this way, or?
It does. One question that kind of jumped at me a couple different times when you're talking about the way things blend and stuff. Just to be clear, you could have one song based upon the way your file structure is end up in multiple different crates because of how your mind might work based upon the weddings versus the pool party versus the Twitch stream.
I think that's actually 100% true. And my mind essentially works by associating tracks by style, then by like how I will use it, and then by what it is. That's how like my thinking goes. And it's taken a little bit for me to like really get to this level of granularity. And some people watching this might be like, yo, this dude's like on another level here. But that's how my mind works. And that's how I think of things when I'm going out. And I'll say it again. My mind works by associating tracks by style. Like what am I, like the style of music, then, or genre of music, then how I will use it, and then by what it is. So like if I'm taking a throwback vocal and I'm not playing an 80s rock set, but I'm throwing that throwback 80s rock vocal over an EDM track, I'm trying to accomplish something. So like my mind works by like, okay, what am I trying to pair? Who am I trying to get to? What am I trying to play? Who am I trying to play for? Then like, how am I gonna get that universe of people to the next level, right? And this might be throwing songs that might typically be like way off, right turn, left turn, all way out in left field, and then by like what it actually is. So when I tag music, just to kind of talk about that really, really, really quickly, I think that the tagging convention that I use fits like the way my mind essentially works. But I try to use a number of different fields so that I can classify a song and it can be basically directed into the universe or the subcrate universe of where it would fit based on those three categories for how my mind works. So I typically would add my tags to the genre field, maybe even to the album field, because like we don't really play albums anymore like maybe you once did way back when, and that was even before my time. And then I use other fields like the grouping and the comments fields. And that's in Serato. And I believe that all of those fields still hold true. And whether you're a virtual DJ guy or using the Denon stuff or you're using Rekordbox, I just think, the way that Serato works, it allows you to search specific cells using smart crates. And those are cells that you can manipulate the music. And I'm never going to be like, oh, wow, I should have maybe saved that one thing. You know what I mean? Like maybe the album field, but for me, most of the time, the album field is left unpopulated by so many different things, because if you're getting tracks from even like a promo only, it might not have the album field, properly tagged. Not saying that promo only is not doing their job, but it's coming into like their naming convention, not the album that the artist released that track on, because some of the songs that are super hot today, there's not even an album out yet. You know what I mean? They're like releasing 1 or 2 tracks, so that it just doesn't exist. So I find that those are the safe fields for where I add my tags. And to even talk like a second about that, once I think a track is valuable, meaning like it's got greater than X number of plays, whether it's 3 plays, 5 plays, 30 plays, whatever you determine that number to be, I essentially will go through and I will look at that entire track's metadata or MP3 tag data, and I'll do that every so often. So maybe like at the end of every quarter, I try to set a day or two off to the side where I can sit outside in the sun and tag music, or I can go away somewhere. I could go sit at Starbucks, or just, try not to be bothered with the phone or with the emails or with people reaching out to me. And I try to organize my content so I'm not stuck at the end of every year with like 10,000 songs that I have to do this with. I try to chop it up whenever I have time, and I try to like actively work this. Once I find a track to be valuable, I essentially find it into its home from a tagging perspective, into a crate home, into a tagging home, and I try to add as many tags to that track as I possibly can, so that the smart crates that I use in Serato will identify that song, because they're updating all the time. So like next time I open up my Serato, that one song that might not have had a lot of content into it was a banger that crushed the dance floor, that maybe was a club but would go off at a wedding, or maybe would be really good at this or that or whatever. And then I would like, basically it'll go into all of those folders, so I have that kind of organized. And I think the process with tagging as a whole is a never ending. It's one of those things that you could just do until the end of time if you really got lost in it. So I try not to soak up too much time. Tagging for me is a process that I honestly hate it, but it's one that is so valuable. And I understand that the sacrifice of misery for the time I'm doing it is worth its weight in gold when you go to look for something, or having things that are perfectly set up and your crates are strong and you've kind of cut out all that dead weight. You become a better DJ. I mean, that's the whole point of this whole conversation, is how do you become, from a music organization perspective, how to become a more effective, a faster, a cleaner, no, you're not staring at the screen, not knowing where to go next. You're organizing your music in a way where you become, such a powerful entity, and you can truly guide a crowd without, guessing where to go next, because everyone's been there. This all started because I played the wrong song on a Twitch stream, and I was so upset with myself that I like literally dropped the wrong edit, and it wasn't my fault. Like I dropped the wrong edit. I didn't catch it, and that was something that kind of stung with me, and that's how this whole thing started. So it's been a quite an interesting journey to get to this point, and I know I'm talking around, but I believe that this is something that people that do this, I think for an extended period of time, eventually get into this at a very, very granular level. And I'm at the point where I'm like, how do I cut like my music library from where it sits now to like in half of where it is? Because like, I know I don't need all of that stuff, but get it, the lower you get in song count and file count, the more almost like anxiety prone you get when you're, and I have all the things, you know, I can jump on Beat Source or jump on this or download this, like no problem, pretty much anywhere. Wi-Fi is a big thing in the Northeast. So like there's no venues I go to that I really don't have service, you know? So it's just training your mind to be different than what it became because you collect music. And just because you're removing songs doesn't mean you need to get rid of them from your music collection. You just don't need them clogging your DJ software. I mean, I have 70 terabyte drive here in my house that has like all the tools and all the things on it that like I don't need to take with me to events because it just doesn't, I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So let's specific kind of focus on this tagging a little bit more. So because I was led to believe that a lot of times when to do it right, you like you download the song and from your music subscription service, and that's when you should tag. But you're saying that you'll utilize it for a quarter before you determine whether it's worth spending time to tag.
Correct. So essentially, like my music library isn't one folder like in a perfect world, it would be one folder all year, right? Everything goes into one folder. It's properly analyzed and all the duplicates are removed. That doesn't work in the context of how I play right now. I found to have two folders much more effective. So I have my root folder, like my foundation folder. That's like my entire music library. Then every year I start a new ads folder, and the new ads are any new additions to my music library. Everything goes in the new ads folder. Every single thing I download, every new first dance, every new introduction song, every new hip hop track. Oh, I like that new J. Cole Poke It Out song. Boom, it goes right into that folder. Like I love that edit, right? And now just because I love that edit, if I'm in my car driving and I might like knock it because it's got that Tribe Called Quest Vibrant Thing beat or whatever, that doesn't mean it's going to hit at the events that I play at, right? So like I basically have two folders of music. And now that Serato offers a play history, you know, counting ability, I know the other software programs have done it for a long time, but this is something that over the past couple of years has come into the Serato universe. Now what I do is every time I download music, I timestamp a folder for the date and perhaps even a resource for how I'm getting that music, promo only, CMS, whatever the services that you use are, that doesn't really matter. And basically I will dump everything into this folder. Then I have everything kind of organized the way I need to organize it. But in my Serato, I have a new ads folder with the folder and the date, right? So I kind of know when I was downloading stuff, oh, I got this new song, it was pretty cool. I think it was on this day, whatever. And then over the course of a year's time, I will look at what I actually played out of that folder. Anything that I played greater than, let's say, 3 times will be extracted from that folder and dumped into my music foundation folder and tagged properly. So everything that sits in that core folder of mine should be pretty much tagged, at least, you know, every tag might not be full, but like for the most part, everything should be at least generalized or at least genre, you know, specific in there, you know, and whatever. And then as I've now have done this for a couple of years, a nugget would be every time at the end of a year that you are DJing at events, no matter what type of events you play, every time you do a great party, save that history folder to another, you know, folder structure on your music software. At the end of every year, basically add a tag to all of those songs that were played in that and say like, you know, 2022 bangers, whatever you want to call it. Or I use the word diamonds usually. I'll say 2022 diamonds, right? And that will be one of the, you know, 5 tags that I add to each one of those songs, or right as I go through it, right? And then I take all of those songs and I basically extract them from those individual new ads folders. I put them in my core music folders. I re-import that over to Serato because I'm using smart crates. Everything automatically goes into where it needs to go. And then I delete all of the stuff, or at least remove it from my actual computer hard drive, and I stick it on a like a hard drive in my home studio here where I have everything kind of backed up and whatever, just in case I ever need the stuff. I don't want to have to go back on and have to rebuy something I maybe paid for or downloaded or whatever. And I try to keep it all kind of there. So I guess the point would be this process, once you do it, it's never done. Like, it's kind of something that you have to understand, you have to live with. But over time, whether it be at the end of every year, at the end of every quarter, every 6 months, when you have a little break, you have to go through and really like massage the content that you have, massage the files that you have, look through all the stuff. And I think it makes you a better DJ when you remove the dead weight, the dead files, the things that maybe are just clogging up your Serato. The last thing you want to do is open up a song and find 30 versions of a song in your software, because then you're going to take that extra 3 seconds to say, wait, what was the edit I like to play? Let me see. Da, 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 da. It's like, that's valuable. That's real estate right there. Like that, when you have it like, okay, well, there's 3 versions, this is the one I'm going to play. You're so much more efficient as a DJ, and the quicker you can be with the current way of playing parties and playing music. Everyone wants everything, 45 seconds to a minute and a half, unless you're playing like a longer bridge song. Like, the quicker and more efficient you can be, the better you actually can be and stay on top of the party, especially if you're playing for younger kids, right? Like, TikTok has made the attention span of a lot of people like goldfish, right? Like, it's just like so fast, and I think music management helps make you a much, much more efficient and skilled working DJ.
Yeah, it definitely does, because you have to have that, you have to have that flow, and it, I'll go to something I heard at one of the conferences, I think over the summer, where the idea of, we make so many decisions about what to play next, and it take a normal 3-minute song, let alone doing it every 45 seconds to a minute, and your brain is fried just from thinking of all the different possibilities. And if your management isn't on top, that makes that process in your brain just work all that much harder.
Yeah, I think the last time I played out, there was this like place we held the account at SCE for like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years, and I wouldn't play there all the time, but like I'd play there every once and again, and I'd float a lot of our team through there, and I played for 5 hours, and I played like, I want to say, in my history folder for that night there was like 320 songs or something. I mean, but at the end of it wasn't about the quantity. I think the thing that like I realized at the end of that night was like, it was an epic night. It was insane. I think I even have the mix of it. I think I put it on the SCE Mixcloud page. Like, it was just like, I was like layering just constant boom, 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 and I was playing like way open format. It was like all over the place, and the crowd shifts a number of times over the course of a 5-hour span, right? So you have like older kind of, night out people, then it gets younger, then it becomes like almost like that trouble crowd that's in there, and everyone's going like super hard and all that kind of stuff. And the point is, when I left there, I'll never forget, I was like, Lauren's like, are you okay? And I didn't like drink, I was just literally, I was drinking water, because I was like, it was like hot, and I was exhausted. I mean, like, it was like my first big event. It was my first event after like coming out of COVID. And man, it just literally, my mind was like so fried out, and I'm like, dude, like this, like, you think about how many like quick decisions did you make, and like, I'm not someone that goes into any party with like a preset like universe of music kind of organized. Like, I play the vibe, like that's just what I've always known to do. And the more decisions you make and the longer you're doing that, like, you mentally get like, you're not sharp, you get tired, you get worn down, and I won't forget that. And I was like, I just think of like how better of a DJ I was because I organized all my stuff. Because like, what if I didn't have all that stuff dug out and cleared up and all of that stuff? Like, maybe I would have only played 260 songs because I spent all that extra time, 10 seconds extra each song, 30 seconds extra each song, literally looking. And that's the difference of getting out of things at the first chorus, or getting to that second chorus or the second verse, or maybe playing the whole song, right? Like, that's the difference of having things organized versus not. You know what I mean? And I think it's so awesome,
Well, Jason, I want to thank you very much for sharing some tips with us and the importance of tagging and just your music management in general and just making it better for yourself. And the key that he even hit on there a couple of times, you got to realize the way your brain thinks and find that key that's really going to work for you. So thank you very much for taking time out of your night. I appreciate it. Make sure you're checking out his YouTube channel. He talked about he's going to have some more videos on this, digging deeper, giving you better ideas, going in more depth than we can talk about in this show. So thank you very much. Check that out. We'll be back with Brian S. Red in just a few minutes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Once again, welcome back. Thank you very much for taking time, sticking with us. We have one more guest for you tonight before we get into the after party with Howie. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend. Well, okay, it's Brian.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, how's it going? I'm telling you, I got excited about this. John said, hey, here's an opportunity. You're going to do this. And you and I talked, and last summer, we're going to do a show. John finally made it happen.
Yeah, anybody watching, I mean, this has happened more than once. Dan will walk up to me and he'll be like, we need to do a show together. I'm like, okay. And then he walks away. It's like, okay, but it never happens. But here we are. We're doing it.
Yeah. So give us a little insight tonight. All right. What direction is this time with you? What specifically are we going to dig into?
Well, something that you may not know about me, Dan, is I never understand the assignment, so I did my best with this. Hey, John, mute your microphone. Come on. You got to be professional here. What's going on? So anyway, I guess we're going to talk about some cocktail music.
Okay.
And one thing that I don't do are crates. So I'm going to talk about it in general and just kind of give you my take on it best I can. And then we're going to have a conversation about this. You can react to what I say and agree or disagree, and that's okay. We all have different opinions on things. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was what I don't play, or let me rephrase that, what I would rather not play.
Okay.
And that is anything Rat Pack for cocktail or dinner.
Okay.
Frank Sinatra, all that stuff. I don't like playing it because of the crescendo. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That's very disruptive. So, maybe they can't hear it when it's real quiet, but then it gets really loud and grandma has a heart attack. I don't like that. So if people want more of that pop standard torch music kind of stuff, I personally would recommend more contemporary artists who have more compressed recordings, like Michael Bublé, perhaps, or Harry Connick Jr. or Norah Jones. Those are really nice options or alternatives to something like the Rat Pack stuff.
Gives you that vibe. It also helps bring it a little bit more contemporary for your younger crowd.
Yeah.
While keeping the vibe for that nostalgia piece.
And a lot of the stuff is kind of the Great American Song Catalog, Cole Porter stuff anyway. So it's the same song. It's just done by more And when I say contemporary artists, I mean this stuff goes back 30 years.
Yeah.
But still. So that's what I like to do with that. If anybody says Frank Sinatra specifically, I try to say it as nice as I can. Sure, I'll play some Frank Sinatra, but I'll play some other things too that are similar to that. And that way I'm not, on my volume control constantly. Because I have had feedback where we can't hear the dinner music. It's like, yeah, he's not doing anything right now. There's a really soft hi-hat going. That's why. And then when it blasts the horns, we're going to scare the hell out of everybody over 70 and we may have to call an ambulance. So I don't like to do that. My go-to is smooth jazz. Do you do any smooth jazz at your events for cocktail and dinner?
I typically don't.
It's nice. It's actually pretty nice. You get it through Top Hits USA.
Okay.
They offer it. Promo only does not, but Top Hits does, and they do a great job with it. And it's kind of R&B. It's kind of jazz. Some people might even describe it as elevator music, but it can be up-tempo elevator music. You have to go through the catalog, and you have to I like to try to find the instrumentals and try to find the up-tempo stuff. And, if I have to mark them, I usually memorize them and just kind of know which ones I like. I have artists that I like. I really like Paul Hardcastle. I like Jesse Cook. But you can't always type in instrumental and smooth jazz because they don't tag them as such, unfortunately. So you kind of have to go through it and find them yourself. And, stuff without vocals is good.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I wanted to talk about in regards to cocktail music. If you're doing a wedding specifically, there are a lot of people out there who are very hung up on lyrics. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm from the 80s. I don't care. I don't care what they're saying. I like the tone of voices and singing, but I don't really care about the poetry of what they're doing as much. But I think older people are listening to this, like older than me, which is pretty old, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the hip hop crowd is really into that because they're about, bars and they're about stories and they're about rhymes. So they're hyper focused on the lyrics. And at a wedding, what you don't want to do is play breakup songs.
Yeah.
Or sad things. So, I mean, typically, just because of that percentage of people out there who are paying attention to lyrical content, I try to keep it lovey-dovey or instrumental, one or the other. Instrumental is always a safe bet.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that a lot of people will be able to recognize and be able to appreciate the instrumental that you might be able to use, even if the content may have gone in that direction, like even if the actual lyrics were in that breakup, and you don't want to do too much of that,
right?
I do see some people kind of turning a blind eye if it turns to be a classic. Case to point, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive.
Exactly.
That's coming up of a breakup, yet that is one that is, if you look at
for some reason it's okay.
Yeah.
They haven't told us why, but it's okay. Yeah. But you can have fun with this. I mean, especially for cocktail. And I think you've got a couple objectives is, one, obviously you don't want to play breakup stuff at a wedding. The other one is you don't want to put anyone to sleep. So be careful with that. I think a lot of people do the soft piano music stuff, and that can get sleepy. I want to keep my audience awake. They may not be listening, but it kind of sets the mood. That's what you're basically doing with this cocktail music and dinner music. It's kind of interchangeable with me depending on the event. But I am going to give you some tracks. I'm not going to spoon feed you a huge crate, but I'm going to give you some tracks.
Okay.
And I divided it into a couple of different sections. I'm just going to give you a taste. This is kind of the whole teach a person to fish kind of thing, opposed to, giving them a fish. I don't know. You probably know more about than I do. I don't know how that goes, but something like that. I'm going to teach you how to fish today.
Okay.
So yacht rock is really nice for this. In fact, did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did.
Did you notice that they, those bumper songs they play kind of before the commercial? They played an Ambrosia song. Did you hear that?
I don't think I paid that close of attention.
I'm that kind of weird.
Well, you are, but it's okay.
It was like, wow, this is really cool because this is the biggest part of me. It's a beautiful song, and it's on my list. I think that's a really good song to play. Yacht rock is very much listening music. When I was younger, I really didn't like music that I couldn't either drive to or dance to. It was kind of useless to me. But now that I'm older and I'm doing tasks and have music on in the background and I want to relax a little bit, I'm finding value in music that just is nice, like yacht rock. So that's a really nice song. People know it. It's pleasant. Even if they don't know it, people generally like it. Another really good one, kind of in that yacht rock genre, which is kind of an odd genre, but it's an odd one. And if you play it, no one's going to know it, but it's a good song. I turned Jay Brennan onto this one and he plays it quite a bit. It's by the Jan Hammer Group, the guy who did the Miami Vice theme.
Yeah.
But it's well before that.
Okay.
And it's called Don't You Know. It's a beautiful song. And it's a cool song to put in your library or crate, if you will, if you're doing dinner or cocktail and want something kind of groovy and cool. It's a nice song. There are lyrics to it, but it's okay. It's wedding safe, promise.
Okay.
Another one that I turned Jay on to that's really good. It's a Beach Boys song. And it's not Brian Wilson singing on it. It's from 74. It's off the Holland album.
Okay.
And it's called Sail On Sailor. It's a neat song. And most people don't know it, but it's a really neat song. And it's, if you listen to it, I think you'll say, hey, this is nice, which is the reaction you want from your audience. You don't always have to play the familiar tracks, especially when they're not dancing, but just something that's pleasing. It's a nice track. I've got a couple up here. You can't lose with Steely Dan with the yacht rock stuff. The one that I picked from Steely Dan that I think is nice that you don't hear a lot, but people who are our age-ish would probably remember it, even though they haven't heard it in a while. It's called Time Out of Mind.
Okay.
And it's like this progressive lyrical type song where if you really wanted to dig into it and figure it out, you'd know it was really about heroin use, but no one's going to do that. And they're just going to go with it. Yeah. So I'm calling it wedding safe.
Yeah. If you have to dig deep into the lyrical pieces, I mean,
yeah,
you can get away with it because, grandma's not going to get offended in the first time hearing it. So
grandma probably doesn't know what Chase the Dragon means. And if she does, you need to learn more about grandma. She's something she's not telling you.
You need to go party with grandma. No,
probably. Yeah. But use caution because grandma knows how to party.
Yeah, it's true.
I threw Fleetwood Mac Say You Love Me in there too. That's a nice song. It's familiar and it's up tempo. I think that would be nice for a cocktail. And it doesn't have any weird break. The whole Rumors album is a breakup album, if you didn't know. Everybody in that band was breaking up or divorcing each other or cheating on each other at the time. But that one song off the album is a nice song and it's very wedding friendly. Say You Love Me. It's nice. So those are some yacht rock ideas for you, because it's tough to find yacht rock songs that aren't about cheating or breaking up or sadness, even though they're up tempo, or I'm lonely but I'll survive kind of thing, like Gloria Gaynor. So those are, I feel like, friendly for weddings.
But I think that's a hard genre also for a lot of us who, earlier tonight we kind of talked about acoustics, and you can search acoustic, you can search song and just, or even just throw in the word acoustic and you get it. I think sometimes just searching yacht rock for some good quality stuff makes it kind of difficult. So having some of those to start off on really helps, especially if you're going to say, like, you can put them in Spotify and then find others like this,
right,
and start building your crate pretty quickly from it.
Oh, I'm sure there's some fantastic lists on Spotify for yacht rock. It's a weird genre where it's like, it's not really, it can be soft rock, but it's not soft rock particularly. it's just got really high production value, and it's well crafted, and it's smooth. So I mean, I always in my brain envision Thurston Howell III on a yacht. What's he listening to in the 70s? He's listening to Steely Dan and Ambrosia. That's what he's listening to. And anything Michael McDonald sings on, he's listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably not listening to Jimmy Buffett. So that is not yacht rock. And he's probably not listening to anything by Brett other than Make It With You, because it's too sleepy and he's going to fall asleep at the, what do you call it? The sternum? The not sternum, the whatever. Anyway, the wheel.
The wheel.
So you can do kind of some up-tempo stuff with this too. Like, dare I say house? You can. I know.
What?
It kind of down-tempo house stuff.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of subgenres. I don't do that. Do you?
No, not in that field for sure.
Yeah, because there's like down-tempo and progressive, and that it's all just house to me. So forgive me if I'm not giving you the proper subgenre on this, but there are a couple that I do like and I think are very worthwhile. And bonus, they're instrumentals, so you don't have to worry about any lyrical content. I'd mentioned Paul Hardcastle before in the smooth jazz, and he's the one. I don't know if you remember the song 19. In Vietnam, he was 19. No.
Oh, okay.
That's Paul Hardcastle.
Okay.
But I'm not suggesting you play 19 by Paul Hardcastle at a wedding. Right. He does a song called Rainforest. That's very cool. And it's almost electro. It's like bordering onto a house beat. It's a good tune. It's a staple. I play it at almost every event that I do, and I've played it at almost every event that I've done for probably the last 25 years. Somewhere in the dinner or cocktail set. Usually I'm playing it. It's that switch over time between dinner and dancing. We've been playing the dinner music, and now we need to step it up a little bit because we're going to start the action. That's the song I play. That's one of the songs that I play. It's really good. Another one is, I don't even have it listed here, but I was just thinking about it. Another one is from an act called, it's actually Jakarta. A lot of people think it's Jakarta, but it's Jakarta. And the song is called American Dream. And it was the theme song from the movie American Beauty with Kevin Spacey.
Okay.
We're not supposed to talk about him anymore, but it was a hit over in Europe.
Yeah.
Before, and in fact, the version in American Beauty is the chill version. This is not the version I'm suggesting. This is the dance version, like the Ministry of Sound version. It's a really nice song. Another one is Frankie Knuckles' The Whistle Song. This is a beautiful little house track.
Okay.
Instrumental, very appropriate. And I give you one more. And this is going to be probably about as up-tempo house as I get. And that is JD's Plastic Dreams, the original version, not the remake, the original version from I think 92 or 93. It's like 10 minutes long, but it's good. It's cool for cocktail. It's instrumental. It gets people hype, but it's not going to get them so hype they're going to dance. Because I don't want them to dance. I want them to drink and just enjoy and be social, right? So, those are some dance tracks.
It definitely kind of fits into. I mean, from the tracks that you're mentioning, and the couple of them that either I know or I know in reference to, it reminds me of what is that lounge tech,
very much
the lounge
so.
House that a lot of and it's so popular and it works in those genres because what's the purpose of those events? A lot of times it is chilling, drinking, talking. What are you doing during cocktails? Chilling, drinking, talking.
Exactly.
So it definitely fits seamlessly with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you hit the objective. That's what we want to do. And I don't want them to dance, but I don't want them to fall asleep. So
yeah.
That's what I kind of want. And that fits the bill really well. I just knocked this out before I don't know, settled in for the evening, I guess. Made a quick list here, but there's one song that I really couldn't find anything that was like it, or I couldn't think of anything that was like it off the top of my head that I thought would be really good for cocktail. And you can even throw it in a set with different music. Like if you're doing all smooth jazz, you could throw this in the middle of it just to get people to wake up and pay attention. And that's Dick Dale's Miserlou. Do you remember that song?
Sounds really familiar, and I'm blanking. For
the beginning
reason.
credits of Pulp Fiction.
Okay, yes. Okay.
That song.
Yes.
It's an instrumental surf song, but people know it. It's in pulp culture. So that's a fun one to play that's an instrumental as well. I thought it would be fun to just give people a taste of what maybe 80s cocktail might sound like.
Okay.
Like 80s top 40 cocktail. I picked a few. You can go any direction you want, but again, you don't want breakup songs, so be aware of that when you're picking your tracks. Also, you don't want sleepy stuff, but you don't want anything that's going to get them to put the drink down and go out and dance when you don't want them to dance. Like that middle of the road stuff, right?
Often I call it the toe tappers, the head nodders, because it's not, like you said, you're not going to get up and start dancing with your partner on it. But if you can, if you see them doing this,
sure,
it's usually a good vibe.
Yeah. Driving your kids to soccer songs. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Just songs,
Yeah.
One that I thought of that was pretty cool that you could throw in would be Breakout by Swing Out Sister. That would be a nice song to play. It's kind of got that jazzy feel to it. It's a nice one. The other one that has a real jazzy feel to it is ABC Be Near. I love that song. Be Near Me. You don't hear it anymore at all. You hear when Smokey sings in Look of Love, and that's about all you ever hear. But Be Near Me is really a nice song. You could totally throw that in there, and lyrically appropriate. And I'll give you one more, and you can build around this however you want. Level 42 is Something About You. That's a very nice song. Lessons in Love, from a harmony standpoint, would be fantastic. From a vibe standpoint, would be fantastic. From a lyrical standpoint, I'm thinking Something About You is a better option.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic band, by the way. If you're not real familiar with Level 42, dig in a little deeper. If you've never heard the songs, they're great. They have a greatest hits out called Level Best. And it's surprisingly good music that you've just never heard. It's really nice. And some of that could probably also be appropriate. Again, you got to listen for the lyrics and see what they're singing about, because you know how people are.
When you're building your I don't want to say necessarily your sets, but your ideas of the direction that you're going and what you're going to pull for this. Do you like to pull more? Because a lot of the ones that you're pulling seem to be more on the deeper side. Do you like to really kind of dig to that side a little bit more?
I don't want to sound like anyone else.
Okay.
And I don't want anyone to say, oh, I know he's going to play this one next, because I've been to, 7 weddings this season, and all my friends are getting married, and all the DJs play the same thing over and over again. I want to be the guy who plays the, oh, wow, oh, yeah, kind of songs, or the, hey, what is this? I want to be that guy. And if you want to be like everybody else, by all means do it. I'm an 80s kid. We didn't want to be like anybody else. We wanted to be unique. And that's what I like to, express when I'm doing this. I'm watching the crowd constantly. I'm kind of looking to see who's there. And I'm imagining, I'm profiling basically. I look at you and say, okay, well, 40s. I don't know. Maybe he might like some 90s music, and I would go there. Maybe you would like Third Eye Blind or Smash Mouth or something. Maybe you'd hate it, but I'm just profiling from your age. Maybe this is something you would enjoy. I'm doing that with everybody in the room. And then I'm watching the reactions to what I'm playing. If I get no reaction, then it's like, well, nothing. But sometimes you'll play a song and you'll see them look and they're like, oh, like surprised, and they'll have a conversation about it. And you've just struck up something new that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Yeah. I always love when you get that kind of that aha moment, and you can say like, oh, I saw them in concert, or, or something along the lines where it was like, they never would have brought that up.
Right.
But because you played something, it triggered something within them.
I'm the guy who doesn't like to know what I'm getting for Christmas. Surprise me. Now, Blanca will say, what do you want? And I'll tell her and I'll get that. But
yeah,
my daughter likes to get weird on me, and I love it. She'll just totally do. I would have never guessed in a million years what this thing was. And that's fun to me. And I try. I don't know that everyone feels that way, but that's what I'm really kind of hoping that my audience is feeling when they're hearing some of these songs. I don't want to be typical, because then you're just like everybody else. I want to be a little different, but good, not bad different, but good different. I did have another category here, and you can go anywhere you want with this cocktail music, but just for examples, another category that you could play from, depending on who's in front of you and who, how old they are or whatever. New Jack Swing. You can play some of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Cocktail.
Excuse me.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I got legit had something caught in my throat.
No, but you said something before that.
I said that absolutely.
Oh,
to the New Jack
okay.
Swing. Yeah.
I just wrote a couple down just as examples. And again, take this ball and run with it. Heavy D and the Boys, Is It Good to You? Is a really nice song. It isn't the big hit that Now That We've Found Love is.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the Peaceful Journey album. And sometimes it's credited as Teddy Riley because he produced it. But it's Heavy D and the Boys. It's a really nice song. Another one that I really like from a little later, I don't even know if you consider this New Jack. You might not even consider this New Jack, but it would work within the set, is Keith Sweat, Just a Touch of Love. That was a remake. But I love his version of it. It's really nice. Very up-tempo. And dare I say it, but I think it would work well. I really, really do. Is Color Me Bad, I Want to Sex You Up. I think it would work really well for this.
And see, that's one of those songs. There's been a couple different times where I wanted to pull that and just couldn't do it. Just couldn't because of the lyric grandma of grandma possibly being there and going, okay, no, I can't.
It's better than what Cardi B is saying.
From it, but what was that?
It's better than what Cardi B is saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing either during cocktails.
You've got to police this stuff, and you've got to kind of play to your audience, and don't be stupid about it. Look who's in front of you before you do this stuff. But I think most people, I'm 50. Yeah. So people my age are going to be like, oh, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it, I don't know. It's just a song that would be cool to pull off because you just don't hear it anymore. And I think it would be a lot of, oh, wow, from our generation, But,
that's true. Yeah. And I think there's also kind of that, like we even said, because the time has passed, it's a little bit behind. We don't really necessarily look at the lyrics the same way. It's a song that's been around. So we kind of think of it. We're kind of maybe turn a blind eye to certain words, certain lyrics, and don't give credence to it just because it's that's from the 90s, that's from the 80s,
right?
It's okay.
Well, it was all about innuendo for so long, and then they started taking chances and pushing a little further, and then now it's just blunt and it's not as poetic. But I really enjoy music where there's innuendo in it, not necessarily that song, but a lot of songs. Mm-hmm. Where I don't know what would be an example of what I'm talking about. Maybe something like, I don't know, how about Little Richard, Good Golly Miss Molly, You Sure Like the Ball. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know what he's talking about. You know what he's talking about, but my mother had no idea what he was talking about, and so we were in on the joke and she wasn't, and that was fun to me. It got past the censors, but I know what's going on here. Killer Queen by Queen, that's another perfect example. I know exactly what that song's about, and I see rednecks singing that song in bars, and that's hilarious to me. They have no clue, but I know I'm in on the joke. So the innuendo to me is fun. I think that was a lot of fun, and I really miss it because it's so blunt now,
Yeah.
But at any rate,
I always love looking at people's faces when you do share that piece of knowledge, and they go, oh, and then they never can listen to the song.
But you don't share it. Don't share it.
No, I'm talking like when you're talking with people that you.
With. Right.
Yeah, we're just oblivious to something, and that was usually me. I was always the oblivious one, and then somebody would share. I'd be like, "What? No, oh man." So
I remember. Yeah, I wouldn't even go there. We don't have time, but yes, it's fun when you're in on the joke.
Yes.
And if you are in on the joke, you're part of the club. If you're not, you're not getting hurt. No one's any the wiser, and it's all good. So, but anyway, I don't know. Those are just some things that I thought I'd pull out and share with you, and I hope that was okay.
Absolutely. And the stuff that I was seeing in the chat is giving me all sorts of great feedback throughout that. So, but I just happened to look at the time, and Howie is going to be very mad at us if we keep going. So
I don't know why Howie's so mad. This is my slot.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I don't know why they're
Howie's after party.
Hanging with Howie. That was last night.
It was Howie's after party is what it's called now.
It's not Howie's after party. It's my party. Whatever.
Okay. It's his party.
Whatever.
If he wants to.
Fine. Howie gets 2 shows.
There you go. I do want to thank you, Brian, for coming on and spending the evening with us and joining us. I saw you in the chat beforehand, and I appreciate all those great tracks that you're able
Thank
to
you,
draw.
Dan.
I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your night as well to come and spend, and whether you're catching this on the live or the replay, get those notes ready, get those pens and papers ready, and make sure that you get those notes and go back and rewind if you need to 12,000 times until you got it down.
12,000.
All the great tracks. 12,000. If you do it 11,999, it's not enough.
Uno más.
Howie's after party is happening in the chill room at djntv.com/chill. That's the place you want to go as soon as we head out of here. Have yourself a wonderful night. Thank you very much for joining us for the virtual expo. We'll see you next month.